All right, welcome into the Aggie Up podcast. We really appreciate everyone listening wherever you listen to your podcast. We have Brian Phillips joining us tonight. We have Seth Tuba. I'm Isaac Draxler, and we are previewing the Utah State versus BYU game this week. And last week, Seth and I were on, but Brian was not. So Brian, give us a little intro where everybody can find you on your website, social media, all that stuff, and any comments or things that you missed out on saying last week.
Thanks for having me on, Isaac. Like Isaac said, my name's Brian Phillips. You can also find me under the internet, maybe alias as Aggies 22. I have launched my own website. It is called Big Blue USU Aggie News.com. It deals with a lot of the recruiting, commits, guys we've offered. I do cover the football team. I will be covering the basketball team as well. Preseason previews. I've started doing weekly game balls, so like my own personal MVPs, basically. I keep track of the current commits and their weekly as well as cumulative high school season stats, and we'll hand out basically a recruit of the week or recruits of the week, an offensive one, a defensive one. Sometimes I'll do multiple of each, but I'll hand those out weekly as well. I do those. I tweet out links to my website. So if you're following me through Twitter, you're probably already seeing those. But again, please visit the website. It's Big Blue USU AggieNews.com.
Yeah, and Brian Phillips A1 on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, easy for everybody to follow along on Twitter. Click the link. You don't have to memorize Big Blue USU AggieNews.com because it is kind of long. But you can always find Brian's work there. And then call it U State for Seth, Aggie Up on Twitter. You can get us as well in the podcast news, et cetera, et cetera. So, Brian, quick thoughts, and then we'll move on to BYU. What are your quick thoughts on this year's Aggie football team?
I think most everybody is probably in the same boat I am. A little bit surprised, pleasantly surprised, to say the least. I don't think anybody would have expected being 3-1 at this point in time. As big a game as Boise is year in and year out, clearly the path to the conference championship game rolls through them. Rarely does it ever not. So to be able to sit here and say all we've lost to at this point in time is Boise is great, in my opinion. The powers that be that hand out preseason predictions, when they're talking about over and under wins and losses in Las Vegas, those guys are supposed to kind of sort of know what is and what isn't going on. And they only put us at, if I remember correctly, 3.5 wins. We're at 3 now. In my opinion, I see probably 7 or 8 more wins on our schedule. So that puts us way over what anybody thought. And anybody should be pleased at where we're at. I'll take it. I'll take it. Was last week pretty by any means? No. I felt like the defense played really well. I feel like they played well enough to win. The offense was slowed down enough to the point where in the second half, Boise kind of gave the blueprint as to how to slow the Aggie offense down. Because up to the first 3.5 games of the year, so the first 3 games and then the first half of the Boise game, we were pretty dominant. we weren't finishing drives like we should have in the Boise game. I feel like we left, probably 21, at most 21 points on the board in the first quarter alone of the Boise game. So they didn't capitalize on it. They know that. Most fans know that. Don't really need to harp on it a whole lot. The second half, they showed, Boise made the adjustment and showed how to slow us down. Now it's up to the coaching staff to make their money and make sure that that doesn't happen again. So they kind of get to go back to the drawing board this week and say, okay, how do we combat that? Now, part of that reason that we struggled a little bit in the second half with Boise is they have a pretty good secondary, maybe the best secondary we're going to see all year. So for a team that relies a fair amount on a passing attack to face a pretty good secondary, that they proved to be a pretty good matchup. They took Tompkins out, they took Brandon Bowling out, and really made us struggle. So now the coaching staff has to go back. We're talking Anthony Tucker, we're talking Kyle Cefalo, and everyone that's involved there. And they got to kind of rework things a little bit so that they can give BYU a little bit different look and not make it, or make it a little bit more difficult than it was with Boise. Because they're going to look at the Boise game, BYU will, and they'll say, we got something here. And they'll probably try and throw a similar look at us. So we got to combat that, or else we're not going to be successful.
Yeah. Maybe this is a good time to bring up one of the questions that we had about that fumble. It was kind of a toss in the air, weird thing that Boise had. That was in the first half, right?
I think so.
They reviewed. I think they called it a fumble, right? And then they reviewed it and turned it around. So, do you have any opinions on that? It seems like one of those by the letter of the law. It was a incomplete pass, but it definitely was not an intentional pass, right? I mean, when a running back and a quarterback are side by side, there's no, I mean, unless it's a shovel pass and they're, say, a couple feet apart, I don't understand any world where that would be an incomplete pass or on purpose tossing the ball up in the air on purpose.
It's an incomplete pass in the world of the Mountain West. We've seen a lot of strange calls go our way, or not go our way, I guess I should say. I guess you use the phrase letter of the law. And so I guess since it was kind of a forward underhand toss-ish kind of thing, I guess it's an incomplete pass because there's not as much distance as there would be the shovel pass like you brought up. But, if you remember right, 6 or 7 years ago,
we used to do it all the time.
The jet sweep was popular, right? And that was more like what they would do. We did that a lot with JoJo Natson.
Yeah, with Natson, we used to do that all the time.
Yeah.
And that's when I saw the replay, that's what I thought of instantly. You know what I mean? When he came across the quarterback's face and it was in front of him and he didn't, he just kind of tossed it up in the air and he didn't have it. You know what I mean?
No, I 100% agree. If it was a jet sweep, that would be an incomplete pass. That would be counted as a passing play, whatever. But it just seemed weird to me that to have the running back and the quarterback side by side, and that's almost like it's almost like most teams would run that more as an option. Put the ball in his belly and then pull it or keep it, right? It was just so clunky and weird that it was almost unbelievable that they would call that incomplete.
Hot potato, Isaac, hot potato.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's what they're going for, is that hot potato, quick, like you were saying, that pitch. The reason why quarterbacks pitch the ball instead of hand it off is because it's quicker to pitch it than to run all the way over there, right? but it just makes no sense to me. So I don't know. Whatever. Regardless,
it really still doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
it really doesn't, because the description that you're giving is really how it went down. You just kind of have to you're stuck guessing what the replay official's interpretation of the play was.
Right.
And like we're just stuck with it.
And we've been confused so many times on replay that I'm ready to just get rid of replay and let the freaking officials make calls and not slow down the game. I'm done with replay. It's ridiculous. Anyway, that's another tangent, another podcast for another day. Maybe it's just my little tangent that I like to go on, or my pet peeve, but regardless, Seth, what are your thoughts? How was everything on Saturday morning tailgate? Give us some of your a quick recap.
Tailgating was good. It was quick.
Yeah.
It was kind of, I don't know, it was strange, I guess.
I bet nobody showed up at 6 a.m.
No, I think there was probably people there at 6.
Was there?
Yeah, I don't know. We got there, I can't remember what time I got there, 7:15.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people there by the time I got
dark
there.
At 6.
Yeah, it was probably dark. A lot of people had fire pits going and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. There's a lot more people there than I thought there was going to be there, to be honest with you.
Which is encouraging.
Yeah. I mean, it, I don't know. I don't like to feel like I'm in a rush, and I felt like I was in a rush. You know what I mean? This
podcast is adding tailgating, is improving tailgating one episode at a time. So,
I hope so.
Speaking of which, forgot, we have to give a shout out to our sponsor. Sorry. So the sponsor of this podcast, I was connected with these guys. They're a local company. It's called PrimoGolfApparel.com. And they, we've given shout outs or tried things even on Twitter or different things where we put a link up, and really, we've never really seen much of that happening. So with Primo Golf Apparel, we've actually had some really good responses, some really good feedback from people that are going to the website and buying joggers, shorts, shirts, belts, golf gear, that kind of stuff. So it seems like an interesting fit. And like I say, I decided to give it a try because I like to golf and I like the product. So just like, hey, if Mountain Dew wanted to be a sponsor, or Traeger Grills or whatever, I'm sure there's some awesome some companies that we would definitely love to talk about and be sponsored by. But Primo Golf Apparel for me is one of those, and it's kind of like it's kind of been funny too the last few months. It's like when you buy a red car or a Ford truck or whatever, you start seeing them all over, like boom, boom, boom. That's how it's been with me. I keep seeing joggers, keep seeing Primo being worn by other people and different things like that. So it's definitely an awesome company. PrimoGolfApparel.com. Check it out. Anybody listening, use the promo code AggieUp and get 15% off. Even if you're a BYU fan listening to this, you can get 15% off. Get yourself some joggers, shorts, shirts, anything like that they offer. So really cool company. They're actually based in Utah County, believe it or not. So anyway, so back to Aggie games. We've got another home game this Friday coming up against BYU. Seth, did I cut you off? I'm sorry. I just remembered that we had forgot to give Primo a shout out.
No worries. So everybody could bear with me. I was good Friday after the game. Saturday, I seemed to be okay with my voice, and then I don't know. I'm losing my voice.
What's on the tailgating menu for this Friday?
What's on this weekend, fellas? So we got going to be doing some 4 or 5 racks of St. Louis style ribs. hopefully get some Dutch oven potatoes